당당한 한 거는 가져와다 지금 매일 토요일 때 이내 가져와라. 어디 양들마다 선선대 되었어.
So at the present, we got such a precious human rebirth, and we are in such a stage that we don't know where we will be. It's totally in our hands, whether we go up or whether we down, and we are in that stage.
어시간 다 참말로 그 황원의 리에는 참말로 지금 두고 열었어.
So that's why all we are and trying to accumulate such a marriage which will benefit her. So we all are engaging in accumulating such a profound marriage.
이내는 또 생길래 마다나 생길 디지정을 건드시는 처리가 말이었어.
So if we accumulate a marriage only for the sake of this very life, then it's not worthwhile. It's not so worthy. If we accumulate such a marriage for the sake of so many, you can say, life afters, it's worthwhile.
이내 생들은 마찬가지 생들로 동안 상을 위원은 지가 지금쯤 하니까 스베 대화가 차는 뭐 스베 대화 강한 또 말이 지금쯤 분석에는 가능 스베가 하고 스베 대화가 차는 그냥 하는 가져가지 최점도 송을 되는 거
So when we are having such a precious birth we have, human birth that we have, if we attach to for the sake of this very life, and we are attached to the sensual things, then the birth we have is not very worthy enough. So that's why it's very important for us to detach the sensual things that we found in this very life.
이내 다 지금 처음 먼저 하다 보면 공부하는 게 한시 가서다 지가서다 지 대성은 마샤바 원에 이지 가서다 거기서 한지도 금속 코와 들려야 한지도 금속 코에서 왔는데 타로 공부하면 되는 얘네 개와시는 당한 거지 내리를 그래서 알았어.
So if we accumulate such a marriage, not only for the sake of this very life, just make a wider target in our life to get the liberations. Liberation from what? Liberation from the samsara. So by keeping such a target, and then we accumulate a marriage, then that marriage will be worthwhile and really worthy and really benefit for us. If we accumulate such a marriage only for the sake of this very life, not setting such a wider targets like liberation and so forth, then we consider it not worthy enough.
어디인가는 배워시는 가마시 저렇게 막 이내 밀리를 시가서다 밀다른 부품을 했어.
So whatever the virtues you accumulate, whether small scope of virtues you accumulate, or whether the greatest scope of virtues you accumulate, there's no difference at all by accumulating the virtues. The main reason is you need a destiny or target, and that is most important.
어디인가 밀리 자신 보여줄 수 있는 건데 얼마나 봐야 되는 시간이 하면서 해야 되는 치고 그랬어.
So that's why when we set up such a great target, you can say goal or objective, then we accumulate the virtues. Then it's really nice and really benefit for us. So that's why whatever the virtues you accumulate is very important you to set a definite and great type of goal.
어떤 인자만 하고는 처음 마셔나 가야랬으나 새라고 도움을 내서 봐요. 정말 유순 내가 설명하러 소환데 뒤에 공부문에 가서 왔는데 빠르면 와서 살려고.
So if we are unable to ask to engage to accumulate the virtues, so in every day and we accumulate a lot of negativities from the prospect of mind, from the prospect of body, and from the prospect of speech. So that's why, and not only that, we accumulate such a innumerable or immeasurable negativities that we accumulated maybe in before, life before. So that's why it's very important for us to stick this very life, to set a particular goal, and to liberate us from this kind of sufferings.
뭐 대응의 손상이 말아서 다 뒤에 되고라는 거 자와도 손상 건데고 독세도상 던데고 지 와당에서 놓서봐야 건데고 지 가서봐요. 도손상인다고 될로 말은 저거 참말로 도손인상 뒤에 되고를 말아서 이제 나서서 내야지 단단히 쉬어야 전에 요 마셔는 가좀 나가지 그래야 아니래요.
So at the moment that we got such a precious human rebirth and we are unable to handle it very properly, then it will be a great danger for us. In what way? In this way. Because if we are unable to use this opportunity in a better way, then it might be fall down in a lower realm, like how and so forth. So that's why better not to fall down there, and we have to use the opportunity we have right now and to set up our motivation and to lead us to away from the samsara, mainly to eradicate or to cut the root of samsara, three poisonous things. And this is the most important and significant.
어떤 인상은 먼저 세배하는 지 원하고 봐서 왔지. 이제 와당 이제 가서 이제 자신도 보내는 이제 샤공체가 토네. 근데 지금도 그러면은 돈도 패벨리도 토해요.
So there is also a way for us to liberate from this samsara. For in what way? Like in this way, by have such a great regret for what we did, negativities that we accumulated. For that, we need a great regret. Not only having a great regret is not enough. We have to be practical. In what way? To remove all those, sufferings from the root. And this is the one way of purification, or to purify. In another sense, it's the one way of liberate us from the samsara.
어떤 인상 먼저 그런 게 사탕 세세는 좀 이거 집어주는 손에 먼저 이런 들어가다 서로 망설여 통로가 쉬어요.
So once we are able to purify or confess, it's very different from the Western point of view confession. When you are able to purify or confess your own activities, and it's unanimous to all the religions, all the traditions that, and we will get a better result. It's the same way as that from the Buddhist perspective view. If we are able to, eradicate all those, root of negativities, and there's a show, and we will get the better result. So it's more important for us to engage in this kind of practice.
다른 대단대 남과 도움을 받는 데 가르쳐야라서는 대단대 잠도시. 지난 다 내려 관에 내가 지금 좋아서 들어오지. better Chadigan the Camdo Mondea, Java Sunana, Domasungu Chudum, Yamesia de la Tene, then Hadamekuma to the data, number 2 in the Chazos.
So it is common or unanimous in all traditions that if we do good things and it's sure that we will get a good result. So what's the uniqueness, you can say, what is the special characteristic from the Buddhist point of view is that we have a refuge. And we can refrain from 3 different kinds of wars or precepts. So these are the uncommon characteristics from the Buddhist perspective view to remove all the negativities that we accumulated or to liberate us from samsara.
Many in the Kandayami to Doma, Sunjala, one Kazandoan, Sunama Sunjala, and the mention of the Tinsila Yahane, Chicago, and the Tayan Joseph dance on skills.
So the one who happened to be practiced Tandrayana as well as Sudriyana, and he acquired such a form, a being who acquired such a form that practiced Tandrayana as well as Sudriyana.
And again, Tandrayana
and Sudriyana and Hinayana.
Sunjava Doctrine and Shetung and the Tinsila Yahane, and Tajan Joseph dance on skills.
So the one who acquired such a form and who is able to practice Tandrayana, Sudriyana, or you can say Hinayana or Mahayana. There are Mahayana 2 perspectives, like Vajramahayana.
Tandrayana, so Mahayana.
Okay, Mahayana in Hinayana. The one who is happened to be practiced the Mahayana and Hinayana, and then we considered and he acquired an excellent form that who perform or can be practiced as such a practice.
That never lived in the Transokana, Hazanga Tashimboras. And they should do Sunjana means you do Tashimboras.
So once you happen to have such a form that you practice, and this kind of practices, Mahayana practice and Hinayana practice, then you can consider that yourself God or acquired an excellent form. So, and this kind of form is really rare to get, and it's hard to get, not only in this life, as well as in near future too.
Sambalaya, and I understood to Kaltabasi, the children, Jackie came married. Around the David Kasura, so that was Pima Kenya to Basuma, or she was a Kenya to Masuma Prince. San Joseph to Mani to Jansa to Masuma, and now the money was from the Yorba, or Shava Yendaya, Sunjava Suya, Tower, and if you go, yes, and or your married books, Kenya to Mat, Solaya, so that's real.
So you might be get some kind of doubt that if you can say, to refrain, to practice these 3 kinds of precepts, and it's necessary the one has to be a monk or nun. That is not definite, and it's not so, it's not so definite to become a monk or nun. And being a layman, we can practice it. They are, say, like the one step liberate from samsara, they are that kind of precept. And novice, you can say, novice layman precept. Novice layman precept. Novice precept and bodhisattva precept. There are 3 different kinds of precept. So you are not necessarily to become a monk or nun to practice this kind of precepts.
지난주에 다녀면 대대적인 비용이 기준에 시투도나 야 오르게 그랬어. 참고되면 라나 옆에도 많이 하고 그랬어.
So you can judge for yourself that is it possible that you can practice this kind of precept? Then it's really wonderful, because we say that the oneself is, we are unable to judge oneself, who we are, who I am. So that's why you can ask yourself that whether you can practice this kind of precept or not. If you are able to, then it's wonderful and excellent.
하여튼 대전에는 비용은 거는 지금 가서다 소유기라는 지금 대화에 우주가 대화에 열어봤어.
So to practice this kind of things, and we need to generate some kind of faith. And it's very important to judge that whether you have this kind of faith or not. If you have, then it's a positive.
소유기를 대화나 이해받게 다가 마셔봐서 대화를 야야했던 거였어.
So once you understand that you have such a faith, then it's not a time for you to leave it as it's there. You have to develop your faith more. You can say you need to generate your faith greater and greater.
당고 소유기를 매번 냐면 시선을 갈아가고 있는 당고 소유기를 예배 상에 냐면 그 상자들이 되게 야야했다나 아니 소유기를 냐면 심하도 갈아가려니 제일 최소 쓰는 거죠.
And also, it may be happen like in this way that once you don't have anything in within yourself, faith or whatever. So once you don't have any faith, then you think that I want to practice, then it's something like a wild goose chase. That's why you have to, if you don't have, and you need to develop to generate faith. If you have a faith, then we need to, you can say, develop it more greater and greater. So this is how we develop our mind. So once we have an interest to practice dharma, and that's not enough, and we need to give more enthusiasm or some kind of effort to generate this kind of practice.
So
once you have you can say, once you have an effort, and if you do effort to understand these kind of things, and through that, you can understand dharma as well. So what kind of problem that we are facing is that we understand the dharma from the intellectual point of view, but what we are lacking is that we are lacking in practice. So that's why everybody wants to practice dharma, but why we are unable to practice in this very moment is because of our laziness. It also said in Lamrim Chengmo, it also said that why we are unable to practice the dharma in the right moment is because of that our laziness or liturgy. So that's why we are unable to do that. So we say that by knowing only dharma, by only understanding dharma, is been never considered as the one who, practice dharma. what we need is that one who understands Dharma as well as one who practices Dharma. And for that we say that he is a religious person or religious being. So, therefore, what we need to do is that while we are understanding the Dharma, and in the very moment we need to practice it, so then there is a possibility to become a pure religious man. So why I am saying we need to practice is that by knowing the matter is not enough. And the more we need is to practice it from your side first. So that's why we said that the one who understands a little and who practice it and we consider that is the best. So that's why when we understand the things and matters, when we dharma, then it's very important for us to practice it in the very moment. So why I'm keep on stressing that the practice is the most important thing is that there is a saying in Tibet. There is a saying in Tibetan that the one who says billion times but who practice nothing. So that's why I'm saying the one who says billion times but he didn't practice any single point, and that's not worthy enough. So what we need is that if you know little and you practice it, that's cool. So that's why, and by the way, it's very important for us to, be patient.
That's why tolerance. Namji Shenda 지금 딱 콘도지어 가지고 내가 저래야 다들 콘도지 매력 삼달아서 그거는 됐어 그림쇼 콘도지에 대해서는 콘도지 주고 남주 수학 공부 하려면 수학 공사 두지 마라.
So why I said that we need to patience for that is that because if we say that he's very tolerant, he's very, you can say, tolerated person. If we say that, if somebody curses and he thinks that he can bear that, but that's not the real meaning of passions. The passions means that when they comes, in a very certain moment, there comes such a things, and he's able to understand, oh, this is not good, so I need to be patient. He is able to check his mind. Then there is a pure and a real passion. This passion is not something that is to do with the kind of pretend. It's not a passion. Passion should be inborn, instinctivity that comes from your mind, So that's the most important. So, both, and everybody has a certain aspect, certain, you can say, scope of their own compassion towards anything, But from my point of view, It's really hard to generate a great compassion. But it's true that everybody have a certain limit of compassion.
간대는 안 보다 ਸਮਝ 동원이 나와라야 이제 때때 지거라. 그래서 동원 나와도 동원이다 비제 가서다. 동원 나왔던 거는 이제 기름을 샀는데 ਸਮਝ는 것도 인지시라 지금은 동안 맞아. ਸਮਝ 탐지하는 거 이하고 저번도 지금 동원 나도 장 뭐 ਸਮਝ 탐지를 지결이야 인지 기야디야 하는 건봤던 거.
So, for us, like ordinary beings like us, we generate compassion when we come across or when we see that one is suffering from suffering. And that very moment, and we get some kind of stuck in our heart and we feel sympathy or compassion towards them. But in general, just for all sentient beings, it's really hard to us to get a compassion to them in general level. So that's why it's very important for us to develop or to generate our compassion from the root, from the depth of, from the core of our heart. So
나도 그런 일이 충분히는 돼야 다 자식을 수단데 전부서 다자 보면 놀라지는 되가는 조정과 자동적이야 님배자여로 배트 지고.
So likewise, once we have happened to be the seed of compassion, then it's very easy to us to generate a wider aspect of compassion. Likewise, you can take the example of dollar. Once you have happened to be $1, and if you are quite smart enough, and you can pile up $2, $3, $10, $50, and so forth. Likewise, same as the analogy and the this matter, the compassion. Once you have a seed of compassion, and you can generate it very easily.
당분간 하는 일이야. 지금 로상의 차비 이렇게 돼. 선사바로 체. 근데 내가 배경 그 책이 아니면 책이나 아니면 그랬어.
So initially, you can say the positive moral contact as you can say act as a seed to what? To generate a better quality within us. So through that, and we can develop ourselves in a very positive direction.
뭐라도 지금 내가 진짜 유명속 친구들도 막 총도 따나. 그냥 또 상대야 새로 따야 돼. 들려야 냐면 쓰고스.
So this is how, when we generate a positive qualities within us, slowly and slowly, in the very moment, the negative qualities within us going slowly and downward. So this is how we generate, you can say, the deep compassion or whatever, understanding within us. And
어디 내가 그걸 제발선 또봐 인자 그래서 투구로서 저는 투구로서.
And this is known as a real practice. So once we happen to be engaged in this kind of activities, then it's sure and it's definite that we can reach the goal and the object that we target that we set.
따라야 예발로 성적이 야야 공부해서 롱내 받아서 막 뭐자 주고 전에 그냥 그 점시 그거 배와 저가 더 고쳐주고.
So this is how we train our mind, by negating all the negative qualities within us, by practicing the positive quality, to developing the positive qualities within us. If we do this practice, then we can consider that he is a religious being or real practitioner.